好，我们今天要报告的是 Understanding Cancer Patients Use and the Precision of Inpatient Protocol, a case study at a tertiary hospital in Saudi Arabia. 第一个是 Introduction. The patient-centric hospital care model aims to involve patients in the care delivery process, to involve and empower them to ask questions and make critical decisions and to gain ownership of their hospital care. Digital healthy information technology, including inpatient portal, provide promotion for the implementation of this model in a cost-effective and convenient manner. 那这段话的意思是以患者为中心的医院护理模型，意思是在患者参与护理过程，告知患者并让他们提出问题并做出重要的决定，并获得他们对医院护理的所有权。那数字医疗信息技术包括住院门户网站，为以成本有效且便捷的方式实施该模型提供了希望。An inpatient portal is a secure, web-based application that can be linked to a patient's electronic medical record, 它叫 EMI, which document and managed by a healthcare institution. It allows patients to access clinical information to real time, to communicate directly with healthcare providers, and to perform self-management activities during hospitalization. The main functions include viewing, downloading, and sharing clinical data, including lab results, clinical summaries, and medication lists, browsing, choosing worthy educational resources, sending secure messengers, and preparing for discharge. Other functions such as preventive care service, specific administrative service, or entertainment service can also be integrated into the portal to be offered as a standalone platform. 那他说的是，住院门户是一种安全基于网络的应用程式，可以连接到患者的电子病历，它就是 EMR。那该文件由医疗机构进行记录和管理，它允许患者在访问临床，就是它允许记录患者在访问临床的信息，直接与医疗保健提供者进行交流，并在住院期间进行自我管理的活动。主要功能包括查看、下载、共享临床数据，包含了实验室的结果、临床总结跟用药清单。就是可以浏览有节制的教育资源，发送安全讯息和为做准备。其他功能例如预防保健服务、特定的行政服务或娱乐服务，也可以集成到这个就是它比较像是一个 App 里面，然后也可以独立的提供这个平台。There has been growing evidence for the positive impact of an impertinent portal on patients' adherence to medications and on patient safety during hospitalization. Two studies found that the patient portals in hospitals brought many benefits for patients' care, such as addressing patients' care needs, supporting daily healthy management, and ultimately improving patients' experience with hospitalization。那他的意思是说，有越来越多的证据表明，就是这个住院网站，它是可以了解患者对药物的依从性，以及住院期间患者的安全性。两项研究发现说，医院的住院门户为患者的护理带来了很多的好处，就是这个网站，例如满足患者的护理需求，支持日常健康管理，并最终改善患者的住院体验。However, a systematic review by Dandier report that there were mixed findings about the impact of inpatient portals on improvement of patients' engagement in their care. Other studies that evaluate patients, caregivers, and team care members' perspectives about enhancement of patient-provider communication after using the independent portals. Report a mix of positive and negative perspectives. The positive perspective were mainly related to the improvement patients' healthy outcome after using the portal. 但是这个 Dandier 等人的系统，他的综述是说，报告说关于住院门户，就是这个网站对改善患者参与其服务的影响的跟混合的发现，就是其他评估以后，护理人员跟团队护理人员使用这个网站后，加强医病沟通的观点，就是它是有正面跟反面的混合。那积极的观点主要是在使用这个以后的患者健康状况有改善的情形。While the negative perspectives were mainly because of an increasing of the provider's workload. Prior studies also found that some inpatients had concerns about privacy and the security of their personal and clinical information in electronic format, using the portal inside the hospital, and were anxious of their inability to understand medical results. To date, there is little knowledge about the adoption of inpatient portals by hospital cancer patients. An early study explored the information and the communication needs for an interactive patient portal. Purpose is for an oncology setting in the nascent. 负面观点主要还是由提供者的工作量增加。先前的研究还发现说，一些住院病人担心使用这个网站以后，就是它会以电子的格式保存下来他的个人跟临床资讯的隐私还有安全性的问题，病人担心他们就是患者无法理解医疗的结果。到目前为止，关于住院癌症病患采用这个住院门户的网站的知识很少， 一项较早的研究探讨了荷兰针对这个肿瘤学环境提出的交互式患者口腔信息和通讯的需求。35 cancer survivors and 31 healthy PR important clinical information needed by cancer patients was diagnosis, treatment, medication, side effects, and discharge information. They impacted the portal to over patients' instant access to their own electronic medical record. 那这边就是 EMR and the treatment care plan. They suggested that the portal should be linked with the hospital appointment system, providing online rehabilitation programs and telemonitor programs, and allowing patients to self-report their clinical outcome. 那35名的癌症幸存者和31名的健康者对癌症患者的重要临床讯息的诊断与治疗跟药物副作用跟出院的讯息，他们是希望说该门户网站能够为患者提供及时访问他们自己，就是他可以及时使用的权限跟治疗护理计划的权限。他们建议这个门户网站应与医院预约系统连接，提供在线的康复计划跟远程监控的计划，并允许患者自我报告其临床上的结果。A 2 years retrospective study found that 51% of 4,594 hospitals cancer patients successfully registered with the impacted prior to their admission to the Mayo Clinic in the United States. Most registered patients were young, female, married, with higher income and more frequency hospitalization. Only 26% of them continue to use the portal during their hospital stay. A literature review on the use of web-based portals by cancer patients found that the use of the portal in outpatient and intensive care setting with association with patient characteristics including younger age, white race, and higher socio-economical status. 在一项为期2年的回顾性研究中发现，在4594名住院的癌症病患中，有 51.2% 的在美国的玛雅诊所入院之前已经成功的在住院门户网站拥有注册。那大多数注册的患者是年轻、女性、已婚、收入较高的患者，以及就是会频繁的进入住院治疗的。他们中只有 26.8% 的人在住院期间继续使用这个网站。关于癌症病患使用的文献发现说，在门诊和重症监护环境中使用这个网站的特征相关，包括年龄比较小的白人，然后社会经济地位较高的。Health 8， 然后 found that the use of portal in oncology primary care centers enabled cancer patients to improve preparation for consultation, to better exchange their clinical information with others health providers, to take better control of their conditions and to make them more acceptable and comfortable in communication risk information, although there is growing interest to implement inpatient protocols to improve the overall experience of cancer patients during hospitalization. Most studies were performed in academic medical centers in developed countries, the US and Canada, with limited generalizability of the finding to other hospitals with different demographics, culture, and medical practice. 就是发现说，在肿瘤科初级保健中心使用门户网站，可以使癌症病患改善咨询的准备，更好的使其他的医疗服务提供者交流临床讯息，更好的控制自己的病人，并使他们更容易接受，并能轻松的传达风险的讯息。尽管建立这个网站可以改善住院期间癌症患者的整体体验跟兴趣，但大多数的研究是在发达的国家中的学术医学中心研究的，例如美国跟加拿大的研究，结果只能推论到人口统计学、文化跟医疗实践不同的其他医院。There is a lack of information about their use and the perception of inpatient protocols in developing countries such as Saudi Arabia. Therefore, their staff armed to understand hospitals, cancer patient use and the perception of an inpatient protocol in a tertiary hospital in Saudi Arabia. The research questions were: did the cancer patient use the inpatient portal during their hospitalization? 2. Which function did they use more, less, or not at all? What were their perceptions about the inpatient portal? And 4. Were there differences in usage and perceptions between patients with different characteristics such as age, sex, or education level? 那他的研究问题是，他是说在沙烏地阿拉伯这样发展中的国家，缺乏有关使用跟对这个的就是住院网站的看法的讯息。因此，本研究是在了解沙烏地阿拉伯一家3级医院住院的癌症病患使用这个住院就是使用的情况和对住院门诊的看法。那研究的问题是，癌症病患在住院期间是否有使用这个门户网站？他们更多或更少，或者是根本没有使用哪些功能？他们对这个有什么看法？就是不同的特征的患者在使用上跟观念上是否存在差异。那 2 methods. Once admitted, a patient was given access to the portal to view their medication, to report the level of their pain, to request meals to be prepared for discharge, and to evaluate service. In addition, the protocol offered patients a wide range of educational videos about their health conditions and patient safety while being hospitalized at a car code. The protocol featured an entertainment system which included a variety of popular television channels, interesting blurbs, video game and to update list of movies and programs. The major features of the proto are presented in Table 1. 那这边的部分的话是我们进行了一个横断面的研究，那数据的收集方式是采用就是这个专科医院和研究中心的住院患者，然后他的意思就是说，这个只是稍微在讲解他们对于就是某一个国家引入了这个 information 的住院门户，然后再好，那下一页，然后他们放了一个然后这边是 survey question design， 那我们这边是 open-ended questions were formulated to reference to prior research experience and health. Okay. Information technology adoption studies and problems investigated by other researchers that are related to inpatient proto adoption, use, and benefit. The questions aimed to explore the patient's prior and current experience with the inpatient portal, their patterns of use, perspectives and views, perceived barriers to use, and perceived benefits of usage. See Appendix A. During the interview, if the interviewer noticed and interesting points raised by the participant, he asked follow-up questions to clarify the participants' views and add this point to the original guide of the interview. 那他这边说，就是不限成员名额的问题是参考我们在健康讯息技术采用研究中的就是先前的研究经验，以及其他研究人员调查的就是住院门户的采用跟有益处的问题。那这些问题就是在探讨说患者在住院门户网站上的之前跟现在的经验，他们的使用方法、观点跟看法。那在采访中，如果采访者注意到参与者提出了一个有趣的观点，他们会询问后续问题，并且阐明参与者的优点，然后并将此观点增加到采访的原始指南中。Participation. 那 the inclusion criteria for our study from cancer patient aged above 17 years, speaking Arabic, reporting that they use the proto and understanding the information already presented to them. To representative of the public relation PR department as KFSHRC identified the eligible patients from the century's admission list before inviting them to participate in the study. There were 1307 admitted patients to CACOD. During the file study period of 5th, 23rd, January 2020, only 146 eligible hospital cancer patients were identified to participate in the study. The PR representative visited them in their room to invite them to participate. During the visit, they presented the goal of the research in improving patient experience with the inpatient portal to potential participants. They gave each patient who showed interest in participation a copy of an interview information sheet and a consent form from them to sign. 那他们是在讲他们的研究的标准是癌症病患，然后17岁以上会说阿拉伯语，然后呢，他们就是会使用这个门户网站，然后并且口头提供给他们这个资讯。那他们是说2名代表从中心的入园名单中确定了他们挑出来，然后邀请他们参加这个研究。然后在2020年1月5号至23号的现场研究期间，有1307名入院患者接受这个 CAR-T 治疗，仅确定146名合格的住院癌症患者参加该研究。那公关代表在他们的房间里采访他们时，邀请他们参加。那在他们采访期间，他们向这个介绍这个研究的目标，以改善住院就是这个网站的患者体验。然后他们给每个对参与感有兴趣的患者提供一份就是讯息表跟一份同意书供他们签名。Data collection. After selection of patients, the main auth visit patient in his/her rooms at a time agreed with the unit administration. Their round of interviews were conducted with the eligible patients. Each round took place over 4 days per week. Patients were interviewed individual. On his visit, BA first introducing bribery, the study proposed procedure and the question. That's what BA then started the interview following the interview guide. The semi-structured interviews lasted up to 25 minutes with an average duration of 10 minutes. All interviews were in Arabia. Each interview was audio record. 那他这边讲的话是说，在选择患者后，这个主要的作者就是 BA， 然后再会跟就是单位主管部门同意的时间，就是去访问了每个的参与者，对符合条件的患者进行3轮访谈，每个回合每周要进行4天，然后患者分别接受了采访。那在采访期间，这个首先要简要的介绍学习目的、程序，然后跟要问的问题，然后跟按照面试指南班开始面试，然后半结构式的访谈最多持续25分钟，平均持续10分钟。那访谈都是用阿拉伯语，然后都有录音。那这个图就是那个它的那个使用的那个网站，就是 Inpatient Portal。好，这个是它里面所讲解的，这是 Inpatient Portal， 然后 Function， 然后跟 Description， 然后它就比方说 See My Medicine Search Health Website， 就是它里面所能够做到的事情。那这边是 Data Analyze， 那 The audio records were transcribed verbatim into transcription, 然后 identification of patients' identities, BA, translate the transcription into English. Then an external bilingual volunteer conducted a random backward translation into Arabic with 3 interview transcriptions to ensure validity and accuracy of translations. Our qualitative data analysis was focused on determining the usage patterns of hospital-sit cancer patients and identifying benefits perceived after using the proto barriers to use and the suggestion to improve the patient's experience with the proto. The grounded theory method, which was developed by 就是这个 Stress and Colbin, was followed for the data analysis constants. Comparisons were conducted to synthesize the answers for each question. This method was the best choice for our data analysis because it allowed flexibility in identifying the whole meaning across the entire data set. 那他这边说的是音频记录都会被逐字记录为笔录，然后呢，它会取消对于这个患者身份的识别以后，它会将这个成绩单转换成英文，然后因为外部的双语志愿者会使用这个3份访谈笔记对阿拉伯语进行了随机的向后翻译，并确保翻译的有效性跟准确性。那我们的定性数据分析专注于就是确定就是他们的癌症患者住院方式，然后确定使用这个网站后的受益，然后使用障碍以及改善患者在这个里面的建议。然后他说提出的扎根理论有助于数据分析，不断进行比较每个问题的答案。这种方法是我们数据分析的最佳选择，因为它可以允许的使用这个整个数据的整体含义。那 The data analysis process involved 3 levels of coding, including open, assign, and selective coding. All interview transcriptions were read thoroughly by BA to allow a sense of the whole impression of a patient response to the interview question through reading and the sentence that expressed the patient's useful perception was underlined and entered into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Each sentence that addressed the same issue was allocated to one cell in the same column. Later on, all sentences were systematically examined and taken with a phrase expression its core meaning category to elucidate answers to particular research questions. This stage resulted in the abstraction of the open code to describe the patient's answers to the searcher's question. 那他说的是数据分析，就是涉及3个级别编码，就是开放式、轴向跟选择项编码。那 BA 会仔细的阅读所有的访谈记录，以使您对患者对任何的访问力都有一个印象以后，然后通过阅读 就是任何表示患者接受、使用或感知的句子都会带入有划线的 Microsoft Excel 电子表格中。每个解决相同问题的句子都分配给同一系列的单元格，后来所有的句子都经过系统的检查，并用表达其核心含义的短语进行标记，以阐明对特定对象答案的问题的答案。那这个就是开放代码抽象以及患者对结构式搜索问题的答案。The second stage of our analysis was comparing and aggregation the result, opening coding into higher conceptual level conception, finding exercise coding procedure. After that, the final stage of our analysis was identifying and choosing the core categories that consisted of all conception having similar meaning following selective coding procedure. This procedure resulted in the initial coding dictionary. The coding dictionary was repeatedly compared with external code derived from prior research on the adoption of the inpatient portal. Any sentence or quote that could not be aggregation with a selective code were given a new selective code. BA conducted the initial coding. The three research team members met together many times over 3 months to discuss and refine the selective coding and agreed upon the coding dictionary. This integrative, the comprehensive analysis strategy was needed to enhance trustworthiness of our methods, and finding the final version of the coding dictionary was turned into the itself in the results section of this report. 那我们分析的第二个阶段是按照轴向编码程序，然后将结果就是开放代码，然后呢将更高念级别的概念。之后我们的分析所有阶段都是按照选择性编码程序确定并选择以后含有相似含义的概念跟核心类别。然后此过程会采用一开始的初始编辑编码字典，然后反复将这个从里面不断的进行比较。然后不能与研究代码进行任何报价，都会产生新的代码。BA 进行了初始编码，3个研究小组的成员在3个月时间开会了很多次，然后呢讨论这个，并且完善这个选择性编码。那 resource usage of the protocol by the patients is summarized in table. 那72 patients, 9 female and 7 males used the inpatient portal for the first time in their life. 5 patients said that they had either used the inpatient portal during previous admissions or used an inpatient portal at another hospital. 1 female patient didn't disclose information about her prior experience with any portal usage. 2 female patients report that they accessed the portal once a day. 4 female and 1 more patients accepted it 2 or 3 times per day. 6 patients, 4 males and 2 females used the portal 4 or more times per day. Only 2 patients report that they use it when they receive notifications on the screen. However, 7 participants didn't report any usage time. 那他这边说的是，那在这边是表3总结了患者对于这个使用的情况。那16例的患者就是他们第一次使用这个门户网站，然后5个患者表示他们以前曾入院的时候看过使用，就是他是5个患者是使用过的，或在另外一家使用过，然后并未在其他门户有其他经验的讯息。那2名女性患者报告说他们每天访问1次这个网站，每天有2到3次，有4位女性和1位男性患者使用它，每天有6次。那使用门户网站4次或更多的只有2次，2个人，然后报告他们在收到通知的时候使用它了，但是7位参与者没有报告任何使用时间。4 female patients use the system for less than 30 minutes per day. 7 patients, 4 females, and 3 males spend between 1 to 2 hours on it each day. Only 2 patients use it between 3 to 5 or 4 hours each hour, and 6 patients, 5 of them males, spend more than 8 hours a day on it. 那每天有4名女性，然后这个患者会使用超过就是低于30分钟，每天有7位患者，然后其中4名女性跟3名男性会花费到1到2个小时，每天只有3名患者在3到5个小时之间使用它，那6名患者会超过8个小时。Majority of patients perceived the inpatient portal was useful for 1, improving their access to informational, 2, enhancing communication with healthcare providers, and 3, providing various entertainment choice during hospitalization for accepting information. Patient 就是在 INT3 highlighted that the best thing on it, the portal, is its precision to providing information. Patient 就是 patient 9 aids, it is full of information for patient and families. For enhancing communication, patient found that providing an electronic communication was a prominent driver to use it. Patient identity, the main reason for using it was because it allows me to communicate directly with the nurse. Other patients talked about the reason for use being the nearest way for communication and help with following up with doctors. 那他这边说的是，大多数的患者认为住院这个网站对于他们就是可以改善他们的讯息获取，然后加强医疗保健的提供交流，然后可以提供娱乐方面的选择。那在访问讯息时，就是第3个患者他强调说，这个是可以提供讯息的精确度。那患者就补充说，这个有关于其中有包含关于患者跟家庭的全部讯息，它是可以包含就是可以加强交流的。那患者时发现说，提供电子交流就是它的主要动力。那患者21确定使用它的主要原因是，它可以使我直接与护士沟通，然后使其他患者提到的原因是最接近的沟通方式，它可以并帮助这个医生。好，那我们换下一位报告。